All right. Hello, good afternoon. I'm Rob, also known as that developer dad around here, and it is still Friday, July 19th, and I got the other types of options rolling in the UI so that I can select those if I want. Let me switch over to my shared screen, and we can see, do I want to pick any of the NPC attributes? Yes. Yes. And let's use a random species. Let's make them a folk hero who has become a painter. So we've got a dragonborn painter who used to be a folk hero. Nah. And yes, let's keep all of them random. And we've got a half-elf shopkeeper who used to be an outlander. Yeah, no. And yes, let's say we've got a half-orc. I don't know how they grew up, but now they're a miner. They used to be an entertainer. This should be interesting. So let's go ahead and let that generate. So those are some long old lists there. It'll probably work better in a web UI, I think, than this kind of console type scenario. But we're not going to deal with a web UI right yet. All right, we're currently generating their current circumstances. Just going to let that run, keep it in the background. Still running, still generating. And originally raised in a small village where half-orcs were often marginalized, Tharok found solace in performance arts and became an entertainer, using his commanding presence on stage to defy stereotypes. However, the need for stability led him into mining work when he was forced to abandon his dreams of fame due to financial constraints. The transition shaped him into a resilient and hardworking individual who values loyalty above all else, now facing adversity in the mines that echo both his past struggles and unfulfilled aspirations. Shift left, shift right. So we're still getting some hallucinations, but we're gonna, because we're using a very small free model running on leftover found hardware that and it's doing the trick. And in total, we consumed about 617 tokens. It still comes in at less than a penny if we convert that over to using GPT-3 through a cloud-based provider. Now, right now, the code in the Townsfolk Manager where we're generating our townspeople. This is if we're just using random everything. I'm not going to touch that right now. But where we're dealing with having passed in some of the selections, you can see that we're repeating this same code. If the selected attribute is not null, we'll use that. If selected attribute is not null, it's the same code over and over and over again. And I don't really love that because it's a clear pattern. So what if, instead of doing it that way, we, for each var selection in selected attributes if, so we have to use parentheses, selection dot value is not equal to null, apply the value to the property that is identified by selection dot key. Whoops. Else retrieve the appropriate list for the selection dot key. Pick an item randomly. Set the property value from the random selection. All right, well, that seems fairly simple. But first we need to figure out what our property is. So, string attribute name equals selection dot key. Now earlier when we were setting up our dictionary of attribute selections, we used, if I can find, here we go. Here's where we set up our options. And we literally named each of the option lists in the NPC options dictionary after a property on our townsperson. So that's already working in our favor. So if we come back up here, we need property info, attribute property equals. Well, first we need a type. One of these days I'll learn the correct keystroke combinations to do things that I want to do. Type, not type attributes, but type. Oh, it doesn't like that. It will in a minute. NPC type equals type of towns person. We're going to use some dotNet reflection to do this stuff. NPC type dot get property, and let's hide this over here so that we've got a little bit more horizontal real estate. Let's get the property that corresponds to the attribute name. If attribute property is null, something very wrong has happened. Throw new exception. And I don't want to use system. I just want to use exception. And it's going to complain about that for a minute. Trying to assign an attribute doesn't exist. Whoops. Attribute name. Now, it's very unlikely that we're going to run into that situation because we are assigning from the actual names of the properties. And I just had to add a reference in this file to the system namespace to resolve the error around exception and type. And I'm going to quit mail so that it stops dinging at me here. But we have our property now. So we can attribute property dot set value. And we're going to set the value on the NPC instance of our townsperson because we have to provide an instance on which the value will be set. And we're just going to set it to selection value. Great. Now down here, it might be null. Like we may have said, go ahead and use the random thing. So to be able to do that, we're going to need that list. We're creating our NPC options list down here, and we've already created it and done all the stuff with it, but we haven't stored it anywhere, and I don't really want to have to get that again. So there's got to be a better way of doing that. For now, let's just do this, just for now, so that we can get this working again very, very quickly. Var options equals get NPC options. And I really, really dislike this way of doing things. And I need the attribute name. Okay. And let's just assume that it exists. That's a pretty safe assumption to make. And now what we could do, we're just going to copy this code, paste it here. Instead of selected species, we're going to say selected option equals pick one of our options. And hang on for just a second. Sorry about that. We've got a stray cat that lives outside our house, and she's been getting more and more aggressive about getting into and out of or into our house as we come and go. And it has not been a very pleasant day so far because of that. And then, so what we're going to do is we're going to just assign the value of the selected option to the property that belongs to our NPC. That means we can come down here, grab all of this stuff, and we're just going to comment it out. All right, let's see if this works. We have fooled around, and now we must find out. So I'm going to put a breakpoint there, and let's run our console. You want to pick any of the NPC attributes? Yes. Let's go with a gnome. And I don't know where they came from, and I don't know what they do. I just know I need a gnome. So we have 3 selected attributes. Only one of them is non-null. So let's start stepping. Attribute name is species. Do we have the property? We certainly do. So the value is gnome. The property is species. Our instance is NPC. So we've set the value of that property. Let's take a look. Here's species. It's set to gnome. Good stuff. Let's go to the next one. This attribute, we're going to set background. And I know we didn't set background, or we didn't choose one. We said pick it randomly. So our attribute property is likely to be the property itself exists, but the selection value is null. So we're not going to assign that. Instead, we're going to get our list of backgrounds. We're going to pick one, criminal, and we're going to assign it. System string cannot be converted to type game tools framework character background. So that's not a great thing. Excuse me. And because we can't guarantee that every property is going to be of the type string. So what does that mean? It means that we're dealing with a template in this case. So what we want to do is we want to load the background template and apply it to our NPC. And we want to be able to do that for every single thing, all templates, regardless of kind. So, how do we map that? Because if we look at the attribute property, the property type is character background. The name of the property is background, and our value is a string. And I know the character background is full of strings. So there's not going to be any kind of tricky way we can just kind of plumb into background and guarantee that this property, this attribute name, is going to get applied to the appropriate property on our background. So we can't just set our value. Instead, we're going to have to load that template. So let's look at character creation rules, because that's where all that stuff comes from. And we've got species data and background data and vocation data. And those are individual properties. Now, picking which of these we need at runtime out here in our townsfolk manager is going to be incredibly difficult and error prone. And every time we add something, we're going to have to change the code over here. And that's not what we want. So what we need to do, because these attribute properties, well, that's the property on the character. The selection, what we're really doing here is selected attributes. It's not actually the case. We got to rename this to selected attribute template. All right. And attribute name, we need to rename this to template kind. And down here where we did get NPC options, template kind, we need another thing on NPC options. Not that. We need to go to the NPC rules, my bad. So let's go to the definition of that, iCharacter creation rules, go to definition, and I want to set up no, not name, don't be silly, a dictionary of string and option set, iGame option set, and I believe that only exists as a generic template. Yep. So that doesn't really help me. Templates index, get. So let's go to iGame option set. Go to that definition. We're going to need to add a name. As a read-only property. We're also going to need to figure out a way to create a generic or a non-generic form. Public interface, iGame option set, and it's going to have a name. Hang on. Sorry, now I've got a kid and Mrs. having a disagreement. And load option name. object, I guess. Nope. T question mark, load template of type T, string, option, name. Excuse me. Now let's save this. Save everything. And if I come out to background data, iGame option set, background template. Okay, so I have to add the name. And public string name, background, save. And I'm likely to have several errors like this throughout. So let's pin this. Character creation rules, templates index, we'll get to that. So we fixed up background. We're going to need to go to vocation data, go to definition, public string name, just returns vocation. And then we're going to have to go also to species. That's up here in our rule set definition. All right. Public string name will return species. Save that. Now, register species, species templates.add, species template, okay. Initialize templates, species data. And if we come out to character creation rules, I need a private read-only dictionary of string iGame option set template index new species 5e provider. Excuse me. And we can go template index dot add species data dot name and species data. Now it doesn't like that very much at all because it is not the generic type. But that's fixable because I need to go to species 5e provider. That definition, species data, come up here. Stop it from declaring at the class level, but load is going to be species template. Save. Species data does not implement interface member load T. Okay, so iGame option set. All right, T is load template. I need to template index equals new dictionary of iGame option set template index dot add. Let's just go ahead and implement that interface down here below and see what the difference is. Let's give myself a little bit more space here. Load species template, load template of T. And that's really not what I want. That ain't gonna work. That is not going to work. So what do we do? Set definition, character, species template to species template. What the heck is it talking about? Okay, let's pin this. I think we've got a namespace. We've got some namespace silliness here. Species template should absolutely be inside dot characters, or species data should be. And species template is definitely inside dot characters. Good. Good, good, good. Save this. Species data still has some complaints. I don't know what the heck that means. Let's save that. And that's not what I want at all. All right, we're going to have to undo some stuff here. So what's my background data changes look like? Background, okay, that's fine. Character creation rules. We've got our templates index, game options. Okay, I think I'm safe to undo all of the changes in that namespace. Yeah, those can go away. See how many errors I have now. Species template to species template. Okay, I've got different ones. Background data. My game option set. Let's take a look at my changes here. Let's get rid of that. Undo those changes. Yep. See you later. Let's undo these changes. Goodbye. Character creation rules. Okay, I think we're back to normal. Back to before I went down this flawed path. Save everything. Rebuild. And I want to retest just the raw random generation. Or not the random generation, but the generation with selections to make sure everything is going okay. Null or possible, null value to non-nullable type. Yeah, that's fine. I'll fix that right now. There. Save it, and let's run. I just want to make sure I've properly backed everything out here. Yes, I do want to choose. I'm going to pick whatever is at number 2, whatever is at number 2, whatever is at number 3. Run, and we exploded. Oh, that's right, because system string can't be converted to a character background. So, this thought is not going to work out for me. And that's okay, because you know what? We saved the brute force way of doing it. And I don't feel like falling down the reflection rabbit hole, the reflection and generic rabbit hole that I would need to go down in order to make this work. Because frankly, it don't need to. Oh, selected attributes. Haha. Selected attribute, template. Oh, that's right. That's another intermediate change that I made, but I couldn't back it out. Selected attributes, there. And let's uncomment this and uncomment this. There we go. Save it all. Run it. And yes, let's pick 5, 2, and 31. I don't even know what those line up to. Dragonborn Navigator who grew up as a charlatan. Nope. Okay. We're back to normal. Let's stop generating. All right. So going down the reflection rabbit hole, it was a valid idea for what I thought I wanted to do. But it ended up turning into being more trouble than it's worth. So what do I actually need to do for these different attributes? Well, in the long and short of it, I need to, for the attributes that have been chosen. Wait, that's not correct. Once the NPC attribute choice has been made by user or chance, instead of assigning the npc.property value directly, which is different from one property to the next, we should instead we should instead retrieve the template that corresponds to that choice and apply it to the NPC. That application process will vary from one template to the next. So we need to keep that in mind. So I think we were on the right track when I was looking at that I-option template concept, or the I-option set. Because an I-option set is just a way to, I'm going to pin this, group all of these different templates together. So we've got our background data, which is just a set of background templates. And instead of loading a particular background template, what if instead of doing that, we now we're not going to be able to add the apply code right here. But out in the manager, add, new folder, internal operations, what if we do this, where we add a new class called template engine. not template engine, but template worker. And we say public static townsperson apply template. And that takes in a townsperson, NPC. We take in an iGame option set. Of T. And I'll fix that up in a second. Template list, string, selected template name. And that needs to be T. And of course, we're not dealing with an interface here, so we got to do that. And for now, let's just return NPC without making any changes. Save that. Come back out to our manager. And for species, equals selected attributes, yeah. We're not going to do that. Well, we're going to do that, but var template set equals NPC rules dot species rules. Not psyches rules, but species rules. As iGame option set. Well, no, because species rules is of type species data, which implements iGame option set of species template. Var template choice equals let's just pick that. Okay. I did the dumb. Pardon me. We'll do this. And NPC equals template worker dot apply template to NPC template set and template choice. And I got to spell that stuff right. Okay. Let's go into apply template. And we're going to need to var template equals template list dot load selected template name. And now let's save. We need to guarantee that there is an apply on these different templates. So we need to add a new class. We're going to call it template base. Internal, no, it's got to be public. Public, and it's going to be abstract. And let's do this for species first. Species template, name is string.empty. I can make that just public. Public string name, and instead of just get read only, it's going to be get and protected set. So only children of template base can set that. What else is on species template? Well, there's not a whole lot, but we can definitely do public. Can I do townsperson? No, I can't. But I can do object. Character base. Apply to character base. Not in love with this. Not in love with this at all. Nope, 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 nope. Don't like it. Don't like it one bit. The species template, no, the template base, it's got to go. Scram. So when we need to extend the behavior of a thing, of a class, and we don't want to alter the class itself, we need to in our template worker, instead of townsperson apply template of T, let's get rid of this. And we'll say public static townsperson if I could spell it right, townsperson, apply species. This, oh, stop it. Townsperson, NPC, species template, template, return NPC, internal static class, template worker. Let's set up the same extension methods for the other kinds of templates we're dealing with. Public, static, townsperson, apply background, this, townsperson, NPC, background template. Do it. Get rid of our unnecessary white space. I should have just thought of this in the first place. It's a little brute forcey, but I don't feel like doing all of the type manipulation gymnastics that would be necessary. Apply vocation. This, townsperson, NPC, background, template, template. I don't feel like doing all the type manipulation gymnastics to make this almost completely dynamic, because I could sit here for hours and never get it right. For applying the species, npc.species equals template.name. Save. npc.background.name template.name. I gotta spell it right. Finally, npc.vocation.name equals template.name. Save it. Now we're set up to apply any of the properties that we add to species background or vocation to the NPC as they're created. Now we need to invoke those. Let's go out to our townsfolk manager. And instead of all that insanity, instead of all this nonsense, species template. Nope. Yeah. Template. There. Let that sit. It's declared but never used. Species template equals NPC rules dot species rules dot load selected string selected species There we go. Selected species equals that. Get rid of the empty lines. Get rid of that. Get rid of the empty line. Pull this. Down here. Do the tidy up. NPC dot apply species and species template. Equals NPC rules, species rules, load, selected species. Okay, and I should add a null check. If species template is not equal to null, NPC apply species, else throw new exception, something very dumb happened. All right. Background. Nope, no, this is vocations. And all I did was declare the selected string, selected vocation, copy, paste, paste, pop down here, vocation template, vocation equals NPC rules, NPC rules dot vocation rules dot load selected vocation. If vocation is not null, NPC dot apply vocation else. Throw new exception, something else stupid happened. String selected, background. Copy, paste, paste. Get rid of the empty line. Background, template, background equals NPC rules dot background rules dot load selected background if background is not null, we'll apply it. Otherwise, throw new exception. A different bad thing happened. And I'll fix that stuff up as we go. I just want to get this slammed together as quickly as I can at this point. So NPC rules.background, that should be nullable. Get rid of that complaint. This should be nullable to get rid of this complaint. All right. Do I have, I've got 0 errors, 0 warnings. Let's build it. All right. So we've just inverted all the control of all of this stuff. And this all looks really, really, really similar to each other. And I feel like I could extract some common methods or whatever to give me what I need. But really not much more generic than this. But I might be able to do some cleanup. So let's take this for a spin. I'll drop a breakpoint right here. Why are you being a silly goose? The breakpoint could not be, oh, because I am a silly goose. And let's run our console client. Yes, I do want to choose. And I'm just going to go 1, 1, 1, go. Let's make sure this concept works. I selected species. My species template is not null. So let's step in. We assign the NPC's species from the template. Fantastic. And let's do the vocation. They're an alchemist. We've applied, excuse me, the vocation. And we see that they're an alchemist. Now let's do the background. Let's step in and apply it. Great. Let her rip. All right, we've got an elf alchemist alkalite. Nah, I don't want to do it. And let's do another one. No, pick everything randomly. Half elf entertainer used to be a soldier. No. Um, let's do one more. Random entertainer who has become. Is Bard in the list anywhere? No. But they've gone on to stay being an entertainer. We can get rid of that breakpoint. Continue. A dwarf who grew up as an entertainer and is still an entertainer. I want to see what the AI generates for this. Yeah, as far as the reflection and the generic approach that I tried to take this afternoon, I could have spent hours thinking through that and gone deep down the reflection rabbit hole and eventually come up with something that would probably work. But chances are it would have been brittle. It would have been exceptionally brittle. And the additional flexibility that I might have gotten from all that additional work probably wouldn't be worth the time it took for me to get there. So I backed it out and went and fell back to, maybe a simpler concept. And here's our dwarf entertainer. Once celebrated by the masses, Thorin Ironbeard was a renowned entertainer, known for his daring performances across fantasy realms. His life took a dramatic turn when he led his troupe into uncharted territories in search of new audiences. A series of misfortunes, misled travels, and betrayal by fellow performers left Thorin without his support system, leading to the dissolution of his beloved troupe. Now a solitary figure with dwindling prospects, he relies on street performances as a means of survival. His tumultuous past has forged in him a blend of resilience and bitterness, yet it hasn't dulled the spark that once made him an extraordinary entertainer. As Thorin recounts tales from his adventures to anyone who would listen, he finds solace in reminiscing about happier times while hoping for a new beginning on this stage of life. That's pretty good. I don't mind that at all. And with that, we are now set up to actually start populating things like appearance and other secondary traits that come in from background, species, vocation, and so on. And I think I'd like to start fleshing out the species template on Monday. So until then, have yourselves a great weekend and take care. Thanks for joining me.